I'm excited to share Bill as an exclusive sponsor of the Thrivecast. They have been sponsoring the Thrivecast for so long. Thank you, Bill. Our firm has been using Bill for over a decade now. We actually use it in all of our foundational CFO and controllership engagements. We have to turn all of our clients' financial processes digital, and we do that with Bill. And you can check out some webinars and blogs and even toolkits that I build with Bill to help in your firm. So thank you, Bill, for being a sponsor of the Thrivecast. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Thrivecast. So we're getting to the middle of the year, and this is a perfect time for us to take a moment and talk to you about Thrival's Deeper Weekend Conference. So this is a perfect time between our guests and now. And the next few guests coming up, you're going to see or hear from at the Deeper Weekend Conference. So we wanted to take this time to tell you more about Thrival's Deeper Weekend. If you've been, you know it is one of the most innovative conferences for accounting entrepreneurs. And that's what sets Thrival's Deeper Weekend apart, is that it is an innovative, creative experience for the accounting profession, and particularly for those owners that are really trying to make innovative and creative decisions. That's why we call it Deeper Weekend. So Deeper Weekend has been going for 12 years. This is the 12th year, and it's the ticket signups are coming in. Of course, a lot of people sign up after last year's conference too every year, but people are signing up now and coming to see our sponsors and coming to see each other in Greenville, South Carolina, which they do every year. So we want to urge you to sign up before the tickets are sold out. One thing that's very particular about Deeper Weekend, and if you've come before, you know this, that we limit the number of people who can come. We keep it small so that these communities of people can be together, can talk together. And I'm going to give you a little more info about that when we go over the agenda, because the agenda is a really key strategic part of what we're going to be teaching, how we actually construct the conference for the people that travel to Greenville, South Carolina every year for it. So I'm going to go over that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the theme. So every single year, my partner Julie and I, early in the year, we start to think about what is the theme this year. And it's always about what is the profession going through. And our profession is going through a lot of things right now. Post-pandemic, a lot of firm owners, a lot of accounting entrepreneurs are thinking about very particular things in their life. And a lot of them are making changes in their career. We're seeing that in our community. We're actually coaching people through a lot of these transitions. So there are a lot of disruptive transitions going on right now. And people, they have this on their mind. So particularly this year, we wanted just a very practical theme, and it is acquire, sell, merge, scale. So that is the theme of this year's Deeper Weekend, and we're very excited about it. We're getting emails from people about this topic. They're like, yes, this is the thing we need to be talking about. So this year's Thrival Deeper Weekend theme is acquire, sell, merge, scale. So you're going to hear those four phrases throughout the conference and before we even get to the conference. So why are those important? Well, each one of those can mean different things. And my partner and I, we've gone through different changes in our firm. We've brought in small firms. We've scaled. We're really a firm that's scaling over time. So I want to talk about each one of these and what they may mean to you. So people who are going through changes right now, they're considering change in their career in some way. They may consider acquisition, acquiring. They may think about bringing another firm into their firm. And there's traditional ways to do that, right? You can go buy a firm on the open market on a place that sells, like Poe Advisors, a place that actually sells firms, or a lot of times what's happening is people are exiting their own small firms, their careers, and they are actually pulling just people they know and their small book of business into their firm. So that's happening. So there are a lot of different ways to do acquisition. So acquire is one thing people are considering. Now, when you're thinking about acquiring, it's always important to consider what are you acquiring, right? And we find as we coach people through some of these changes, they don't do enough due diligence to consider what kind of client base am I getting? And if that acquisition comes with team, what kind of culture has been set up that team is used to working in, and how does that not match or does match what your culture is like? And so there's a lot of messaging we work with firm owners on, making sure they make that acquisition as smooth for the client base and as smooth for that team or even the owner that they're acquiring. Now, one thing to consider is when you make an acquisition, it feels like an automatic thing that you make the firm you're acquiring a partner, and that is not necessarily what you have to do. If you're a firm that's ready to grow and you want to acquire, you can try to acquire without adding more partners to your own firm, because adding a partnership is probably at a minimum a 2 to 3 year journey. So we see a lot of people making quick partner decisions, and that really is not wise at all. Partnership is something you do over a 2 to 3 year period. You work with somebody. So acquisition does not have to mean increase in partnership base in the firm that's acquiring. So just keep that in mind. Selling. So this really could be you selling your firm, or you preparing your firm to be sold. So thinking over the next couple of years, how do I want to standardize and build my firm out in a way that it can be sold, it can be sellable? And so when you sell, either you're going to sell now and put your firm on the open market on some kind of listing service, or you want to set your firm up to be sold. This is kind of a passing the baton kind of consideration. You're thinking about, what am I going to do in my career? Am I going back to private accounting? Am I just going to sell and then I just want to go to a different firm? So selling is a big change, probably one of the most, not necessarily, but it could be a very disruptive change, because a lot of times it means a whole change in your personal life too when you sell. The third one is merge. And this is kind of like an acquisition, but you're where you have to really do the due diligence on the firm you're acquiring, the team, the client base. But with merger, you're going to try to pull those cultures together. And so we've done this work with firms, and this is a big deal, right? Because what you're trying to do at the moment of merge, right, at the moment of inception where that brand new firm is created, you're trying to merge cultures at that time. And the planning to do that probably takes about 8 to 12 months in advance to make the merge converge at the same time so that all cultures, all client bases meet. Now, it's very often when you merge that on the backside, on the inside of the firm, the tax systems or the project management systems may not be fit together. But upon a merger, one of the strongest and wisest things to do is to pull the positioned brand that looks out to the market, to pull that together as one firm, because doing it later is much harder. So that's why merging takes such an 8 to 12 month plan, even longer if you're merging larger firms. The bigger the firms, the more complex, the bigger the team, the differences in culture you're going to find, and the longer it takes to plan. So remember, any of these acquire, sell, merge, scale decisions takes a lot of strategic planning up front before you pull them off. If you want it to work, right? And you do want these to work, because these moves can be very powerful in the life of a firm entrepreneur. So merging is where you're converging at a moment in time, cultures, client bases, maybe not internally on the systems. That might be a little bumpy, and you do those migrations over time, but you want that forward-facing brand to be strong and merged, and make those announcements that, hey, we're double the size now. We are a more powerful firm, and you kind of just take over your market, in large movement when you do that. And then scale. Scale is the fourth one: acquire, sell, merge, scale. Scale is where you're just growing, right? You're kind of self-funding, adding clients and team to your client base. And a lot of firm owners do this with debt. It's really hard to do without debt, honestly. So in all of these, you want to make sure as the owner, you're keeping your pay. The owner is keeping their pay. at a steady state if you're making a lot of these changes, because if you inflate your personal pay to a lifestyle that's significantly large, when you make a lot of these disruptive changes, you may need to have your pay lower, and it's really hard to pull a lifestyle pay down for an owner. So if you're moving into any of these, you want to keep your pay before you start at a steady state until you've made it all the way through some of these moves. And scaling is one of those. That is just a steady adding to your market, niching, possibly just doing more and more complicated positioning work as you move into a very particular market, or raise your prices, or add team, or promote people, or, get that really solid tax manager, kind of step up into a more of a complex market as you hire a new team. Scaling can be tough. Because when you acquire or merge or sell, sometimes there's some kind of funding vehicle you may use, like an SBA loan, that kind of inflates what you need with cash to make a lot of those moves. But scaling, you're doing it moment by moment. If you get these next 10 clients as the team stretches, and then those next 10 clients give you the profit and revenue to then make the hire you need to make. That's a stronger hire, which then the owner can pass off a lot of the technical work to this higher level position you are now able to afford because you scaled up over, a year with those 10 big clients. So scaling is a slower pace sometimes for entrepreneurs like me, can be frustrating, right? Because you want it now. And so sometimes for people like me, a merge or an acquisition or a sale, these kind of things are just moments in time, and they give us a shot in the arm, us entrepreneurs. And sometimes it's not the right shot in the arm, and you find out later that didn't work. So these are all big deals. And one thing we want to make clear about Deeper Weekend, this particular Deeper Weekend, is that when we're considering acquire, sell, merge, scale, we're not only going to be talking about growth, but we're going to be talking about what decisions do you need to make about growth. So we're not only going to talk about the practical specifics of acquiring, selling, merging, and scaling. We're going to be talking about you wrestling with things in your life, wrestling with things that, leading a firm brings to you. And so to give you a sense of what I'm talking about, I want to briefly run through the agenda that we have set up for the conference. Again, the agenda we set up, my partner and I spend months figuring out the theme, months figuring out the agenda. So we're conference builders. We've been building and running conferences for 12 years, and not many people have that skill. We do. And when you do it, the agenda, the way you construct it, is the experience. And so that's something we know. The internal way in which we structure the time, how much time, how little time, the time between sessions, all of that is handcrafted through many, many conversations with our team. And that's what drives the experience. So that's why I wanted to take some time to walk through this agenda and tell you more about what it is. So we've got a couple of sessions, one on the first day and one on the next day, and these are called Wrestling with Your Future and Wrestling with Your Career. So these are the sessions. So we are going to help you learn to wrestle through the changes that you may be considering in the acquire, sell, merge, scale situation that our profession finds itself in. So when I do a session like those are just very high level, strategic, principally based sessions to help you understand principles you need to be thinking through as you're going to make these decisions. Because we want to equip you with a right way to think about these changes. Now, we are going to have some practical sessions on acquisition, selling, merging, scaling. We're going to have practical sessions. We're going to talk about that too. But there are two other really big parts to our agenda that we specifically wanted to build this year. We've not added those in these particular things I'm going to talk to you about. We haven't added those in other years, but we wanted to do it this year. And this year is going to be heavily driven by panels, and that is panelists of people, basically. So people may enjoy me teaching, and that's fine, but I'm not going to be doing all the teaching. We try to leave room for other guests, other teachers too. But this year, we're going to drive a lot through panelists. So we're going to have major experts virtually and live panelists that are going to be coming into our conference. It's going to be about 20 different men and women with all kinds of different experiences about acquiring, selling, merging, scaling. Some are nationally known, some are just local professionals who are doing this day in, day out, and you're going to hear their story and go, here's what I messed up. Here's what I did well. Here's what I wish I would have thought about. Here's what I didn't think about. So panelists are going to be a beautiful way to send this message through acquisition, selling, merging, and scaling to the attendees of Deeper Weekend. And I think you're really going to enjoy how we do that. So once I do a session, we're going to take some breaks, and then we're going to pull the panelists together. And the cool thing about panelists is that these are the people doing it, right? We're talking about this theme, acquire, sell, merge, scale. But these are the people actually doing the acquisition, selling, merging, and scaling. So they're doing what we're talking about. So I'm going to teach a little bit. We want to hear from them. These panelists are going to really tell us how to do it. Now, the cool thing about the live panelists, so in the afternoon, we're going to have some expert virtual panelists in the mornings, the morning of each day. That's going to be even its own experience. I can't wait for that. And then the afternoon, we're going to have live panelists. People that are attending are going to come up on stage. These are the people running firms doing this work. And then they're going to run their panels. And then we're going to have Q&A, which is going to be an amazing part of what we do. So Deeper Weekend, we keep it small on purpose, and that's so in the middle of the conference. So a few reasons why we keep it small. We don't break up into tracks, so the community does not go away from each other and go to other tracks and come back. They all stay in the same room, and at breaks, they talk to people in the same room. If they have questions, they turn to the person beside them, because that's probably a firm owner that's going to talk to and say, well, how do you do that? Right? The trouble they just had, how do you figure out how not to let that happen to you? And the ideas that you come away with in Deeper Weekend are amazing. And one of those is through audience Q&A. So our conference is small enough so that people can talk, right? Somebody's on stage teaching, and then they can say, who has a question, right? And you have a room of these 100 firm owners from all over the world. That's about how many we let come. And they can talk back and forth from the stage to the attendees. That's the beauty of what Deeper Weekend brings. It brings an intimacy and a depth of knowledge and understanding around a topic that other conferences don't bring, right? Because in a lot of other conferences, they're very short sessions, very unrelated sessions. And so when you have a themed conference, you have a theme that runs through the entirety of the whole event. So everybody is always working on and talking about the same theme throughout the whole thing. It's embedded in the teaching sessions. It's embedded in the panel sessions. It's embedded in the Q&A. So the live panelists that are going to come up, these men and women who know what they're doing, the Q&A is going to be mind-blowing, right? Because somebody's going to tell you what they just messed up and blew up, or what they just did really awesome. And you're going to get to go, yeah, but what did you mean by this? And the clarification you're going to get out of that is going to be pretty amazing. Now, another thing we do in the agenda is we leave break times in between the sessions. So we don't want to cram everything in. Sometimes we've crammed in so much content. And of course, we do major surveys after every single Deeper Weekend. And the attendees that come are the people that come every year, so we know them. So they'll give us real transparent feedback. And we always change our conference based upon that. So they've given us feedback. It's like, put more breaks in there, right? I need to talk to people. And so teaching's part of it, but there's going to be big holes of time where you're going to get to turn to somebody and just spend time talking to them about the event. It's going to be amazing. And then at the end of each day, there's going to be round tables. And so we're going to take the whole conference in the same room, and we're going to move them to 10 different tables led by a round table leader. And they're going to talk about acquire, sell, merge, scale now in a smaller group, right? You're going to be in a smaller group of people, 10 to 15 people or 8 to 15 people at each table. And now you're going to get even more of an intimate view of a guided time and a round table after these panels to really learn even more. And even the panels are completely handcrafted. So there's a lot going on in the background that you don't know. So, for example, every single panelist has been given this very extensive long form on the back end of our site that they go through, and they spend an hour answering that. And as all of that content comes in, so we're having the panelists bring that content to us, then Julie and I handcraft the questions that we're going to be working them through, and we're going to be driving questions into each panelist in a way that drives the most impactful content from that person. And so what you're going to hear is not just haphazard questions created. They're going to be filtered down through massive amounts of content, planning in a way that you hear the most impactful things. So I cannot wait to do this. It's going to be so much fun. We've never had a Deeper Weekend conference that's just driven by tons and tons of panelists, right? And I'm going to be leading the panelists. So I'm going to have tons of fun, right? I'm going to be standing up there with 4 or 5 people sitting beside me, and I'm going to be drilling them. Well, I'm going to be saying, yeah, what do you mean by that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you do something different? I'm going to be pulling the strategic thoughts and advice and ideas, the ups and downs, the pros and cons out of every single panelist so that you hear the most impactful information. And then with a follow-up Q&A from the audience right there, you're going to get even more impact. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Other things we do at Deeper Weekend that set us apart is every night we have an amazing event. We always do that. So Bill is one of our major sponsors, so they always open us up in our welcome reception with beautiful spaces. So the spaces we take you to, the venues we take you to, they're meant to reflect the creativity and innovation and thought we want firm owners to have and to think when they come to Deeper Weekend. So firm owners are hardworking people. They do hard work, right? They're leading the engine of our economic, small business society. So the entrepreneurs run with the advice and the care of the advisors running these accounting firms. And when those people come to Deeper Weekend, we want them to relax, chill, hear content, and then our team's going to take care of them. We're going to care for them. We're going to make beautiful places. We're going to let them have the drinks they need to have to open up the conversation that they need to be having with the people around them. And Bill kicks us off in a beautiful space, downtown Greenville, South Carolina. Genevieve's this year is where it's going to be. And there's a link to this on our website. You can see how beautiful this space is. Bill is sponsoring the opportunity to just get there and start seeing people and start having those great conversations. Then Thursday night, we're going to hang out with all of our sponsors in it's a Thrival sponsored or a Thrival and sponsor cocktail night that Thursday night. And then for the past few years, Carbon has always wrapped us up with a wrap-up party, and we're going to have a lot of fun. It's right across the river from where the conference is at the Peace Center. We're going to go across the river, the Reedy River in Greenville, to the Lazy Goat, and Carbon's going to be there with us to invite us all to just wrap up all of the things we've learned together. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait. So one thing if you run conferences like we do, your sponsor partners are the ones that do this with you. So Bill and Carbon, we mentioned them. Those are really some key sponsors. We have other sponsors too. Tri-Merit is going to be there. So excited to have Randy and his team. The Profitable Firm, they build a lot of the websites for our Thrival members. So Karen and her team, branded at Uncat, that is going to be awesome. Andrew, Sarah from Corvée, some crazy, amazing tax planning software is going to be there. Rowan and their team from Fathom is going to be there. And then Caitlin's going to be there from OnPay. And then Nellie the CEO of CorpNet, is going to be there. And then Brandon Poe from Poe Advisor Groups is going to be there. And then Kristen is going to be there from Viaggio Partners. She's leading a different way to do to bring team into your firm. So not really like a recruiter, but definitely a recruiter, but way more involved in really seeing which team that you need to have there. And then Relay Bank is going to be a new sponsor with us. So we're so excited to have them join us. So thank you so much for our sponsors. They're the ones that really make a lot of this possible. And when they do, you're going to see the venues we have are top notch. The food, Julie, food is the way she plans the food, her and Andrea on our team, it's the best. It's the top. They go through the menus. They make sure there is something there for everybody. We choose the caterers. We know the caterers in town. These venues know us very well, and they know we have a high level of expectation about their teams and staff. And if things don't work right, we're kind of surrounding a lot of our vendors and kind of pulling them to make that be special places. So the locations, the choices, all of this really is kind of a higher level at which we do things. And that's because the people we do this for work hard. They do amazing things, and they're changing people's lives. They need to come to Greenville every single year for 12 years now, and they need to chill and relax and be cared for. So a lot of them, this is just part of their life. After the September 15th, the 10/15 extended tax deadlines, they get on a plane or some drive, and they come into Greenville, South Carolina. Some fly all the way across the world to be here because we're going to take care of them and really learn a lot together. So, so I'm excited. Julie and I want to invite you to Deeper Weekend and sign up. One thing we've done, if you go now to the registration page, is you can buy a ticket like you've always been able to do, but just for another limited time, probably another month, you can actually make payments on a ticket. I don't know that any conference does that. We don't care. We're always making up new ways to bring people to the conference. So you can actually go register, and there you have to choose a drop down. Do you want to pay for the full ticket in full, like a lot of people have always done? But this year you can hit a 3-option payment. You can pay for the ticket in 3 payments. And then if you email us at info@thrival.com, we have a lot of group discounts. So if you bring a group, which some people do, all the partners come, then we can start doing some discounts for partner groups. So we're excited, and we can't wait to see you at Deeper Weekend. So it is October 25th through 27th, 2023 in Greenville, South Carolina. And the theme is Acquire, Sell, Merge, Scale. And we can't wait to see you at Deeper Weekend. Take care. We'll see you. I'm excited to share Divvy as an exclusive sponsor of the Thrivecast. Unlike expense management, spend management from Divvy now lets us provide cards to our team members, apply budgets to those cards with preset levels up front for each team member. And as we've implemented spend management, we no longer have to deal with the messy receipts on the back end of our expense management process. Check out getdivvy.com. That's GETDIVVY.com for more information on managing your funds and moving them to the front of your spend process.